Say hello to the big, beautiful world. It is Kyle Pepitone here with the Summer Morning Buzz, the Monday edition. As I've said before, I'm Kyle Pepitone. How is everybody? I am joined with my co-host, Patrina Geiger, and our newscaster, Crystal Santos. How are you guys today?
It's another day. It's very hot out today. I stepped outside and, I broke a sweat a little. I won't lie. It's really hot, but it's a nice day.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. I mean, it's so far up here, at least, it has not been as hot as it was this weekend, where things were in like the 90s by me. So,
yeah.
But we have Crystal here who can give us more on the weather and some other news. So what's going on, Crystal?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kyle. There's a lot going on in the world. The United States is about to embark on a big national experiment with 4 million unemployed workers, and it all centers on the extra $300 a week they have been receiving on top of regular unemployment benefits. According to NPR, half of the states, all led by Republicans, are hoping this will push people back to work. In Italy, hundreds of demonstrators waved "No Big Boats" flags on the first cruise ship since the pandemic made its way through the heart of Venice. The return of large cruise ships after more than 18 months has reignited a local anti-cruise movement that opposes their passage through the fragile lagoon due to environmental and safety concerns. The new Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have welcomed their second child, a daughter named Lilibet Diana. The couple announced in a statement Sunday that their daughter was born Friday in Santa Barbara, California. According to NBC News, Meghan and her newborn are healthy and settling in at home. It is now time for your morning weather update. It is currently 79 degrees and we are looking at a high of 90 degrees. Tomorrow we are looking at a rainy day with a high of 88 degrees with a low of 72 degrees.
Wow. Yeah. So weather is getting nicer. So that is good. Because I remember last week I was up here around this time, a little earlier, 7 o'clock. And I was wearing this jacket. This is a denim jacket that I'm wearing right now. I was wearing this last week and I was still cold up here in Montclair. So
yeah.
Thankfully the weather's getting just a bit nicer.
Too nice if you ask me.
Yeah. Too nice. Yeah. But in other news regarding COVID, because, although mask mandates have been removed and even this Friday, Murphy removed a lot of the restrictions going on, we're still hearing more and more about it. Specifically, the vaccination rates across the nation are starting to fall. And as they are slowing down, Biden's goal of getting 70% of American adults to fully vaccinated by July 4th may not be reached in spite of this. Since April, the U.S. has gone down from averaging 3.4 million shots per day to averaging less than 1 million shots per day as of now. Across the nation, states are seeing a similar decrease in vaccinations, around 66% from April, especially in the South and Midwest states, where Virginia has averaged 15 shots per 10,000 people or 10,000 residents, and Alabama has only averaged 4 shots per 10,000 people. We're counting for the number you can count on your fingers per 10,000 people in the state. Polls have shown that about 33% of Americans have no plans to get the vaccine anytime soon, and some are still skeptical, saying their skepticism has grown over time. In an effort to prevent a resurgence in cases later on in the year, advertising, lotteries, and promotions have been put in place to give people more incentive to get the vaccine. And as we see as time goes on, the list of incentives is growing grander. It started off with, if you're vaccinated, you can come to Krispy Kreme for a donut, or you can get a free drink or whatever. But now in certain states like Ohio, the officials have said they are going to give $1 million to 5 people who are vaccinated. So they're going to hold a lottery for everybody who's vaccinated, and 5 of X number of people who enter the lottery can win $1 million each. Ohio is also giving full ride scholarships. Memphis, Tennessee is giving out a free car, and Pennsylvania is going a little less materialistic and saying if 70% of the state gets vaccinated, no mask for anybody. which is different from what we see here in Jersey, where it's recommended still for non-vaccinated people to get masks, despite them not checking and everything. And Fernando Urego, Hamilton County's intermediate health official, said, quote, "As the numbers have dwindled down, we've pivoted. We now know that we're not going to be able to give out 1,000 vaccines in one day in these pockets. If we get 10, we're ecstatic. If we get 15, it's a good day. It's still a lot of effort for a low yield, but we're okay with that." End quote. And in terms of New Jersey, the state has reported 8 COVID deaths and 293 new cases this week. So we're slowly dwindling down those numbers, which is actually a good thing. And additionally, we have 4.3 million residents fully vaccinated, which is about a little less than 60 of the 6.9 million residents in the state as a whole. And 260,000 children between 12 and 17 have also been vaccinated, leading our transmission rate to be just below 0.7, which is really good. So in light of all this, which was a lot of information to say, do you guys think we will be reaching Biden's goal of 70% by July 4th, which is less than a month away at this point?
Personally, I don't think so. I feel like now, since like a lot of states, like you can get your vaccine at any age now, and like no matter what, there's no like restrictions anymore and whatever. So I feel like the people that are left are the people that are still like iffy about the vaccine.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not 100. I don't think we'll reach that goal as quickly. Definitely not by that time. But I think it's just slowing up now because there's a lot of people that want the vaccine already got it. So
yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. It's where we've gotten to a point where whoever wants the vaccine either has it or is in the process of getting it, and everybody left over are the ones who are going to be like, I'm on the fence still. So
yeah.
But what shocks me the most is I expected numbers to dwindle as more and more people got vaccinated because, number one, there's less people who need to get vaccinated. We're talking about the skepticism and stuff. But I didn't expect it to go down so much. Like when I read it went from 3.4 million to less than 1 million, I'm like, okay, wow, that's a lot more than I expected. But I guess it makes sense because, you know, America is very big population wise. And just to think that we're averaging 3.4 million a day. And if you take 7 days of that number, I can't do the math in my head, but that's still a lot. And it probably barely even covers like half of the country. So it's weird to see like such high numbers dwindle to much lower numbers, but still relatively high. So we're still giving out shots, which is good, just at a much lesser rate than we were before, which is take it or leave it. Could be kind of good, could be kind of bad. Bad because, you know, there are a lot of people who are not getting it. Good because that means, you know, we're slowly getting to a point where there are not as abundant of people getting vaccinated like we saw at the beginning of this. And I've apologized for rambling, but we saw like lines like around blocks and stuff, like 5-hour waits or whatever, just to get one shot. And I feel like with these numbers going down, of course, more and more people have been vaccinated, so there's less to vaccinate, but that there would be more, if somebody were to decide to do it, it'd be much easier to get.
Right. And another thing I think that really like takes a toll on the numbers is that I noticed that a lot of the vaccination centers where you go to get your vaccine, they're all like shutting down. Like I know a lot of places around me that that have shut down. I'm not sure why, but I think that's also like it's kind of hard now. You have to go to like somewhere that's probably a lot of people are going to. And so it's like kind of, you know, still taking a toll because, you know, it's harder to get there and it's probably packed, you know?
Yeah. And I forget where it was exactly, but they mentioned in this Washington Post article that one state or one county or something was shutting down like the 4 sites they had and just grouping them into one major site.
I know I live in Essex County, and I know they shut down a lot over here. I don't know how many though, but I know they did shut down a good amount, and then I think they're leaving open West Orange, a vaccination site over there.
Okay.
So it might be, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that's what happened by me.
Right. Yeah. Crystal, what do you think about this? Do you think Biden's goal is obtainable at this point, or are we going to have to see that being pushed back to maybe a month or so?
I don't know, Kyle. I feel like these incentives are quite captivating and quite, like it makes me want to. I mean, I already got vaccinated, but honestly, I wish New Jersey rolled out like, an incentive, like even if it's like whatever the case may be, even if it's like, I mean, I know you can go to Krispy Kremes, for example, and claim your free donuts,
Right.
Nathan's hot dogs. There's a whole bunch of things you can do, but I like the money one. That one. I'm right there. But I will say that I kind of said this like our first show that people our age especially are the ones who are very skeptical on getting it because they don't trust the government, they don't feel safe, etc., etc. And there was this one post that I saw on Instagram on one of my someone I follows story, and it basically said that they were like, oh, I don't understand. Oh, no, they were like, I don't understand how you guys are still getting the vaccine knowing with all these incentives such as like money and cars and whatnot. And they're like, doesn't that like ring like a bell for you in terms of like, why are they being so pushy? And then I was just like, okay, whatever. Like I just kept looking at different stories. But with that, I feel like other people are seeing that and they're like, he might be right. And obviously it's being pushed for everyone's safety, go back to normal, all these other good reasons, right? But I know a lot of people who are still skeptical. So it's kind of what you said, that if those who already wanted to get the vaccine would have already gotten it.
Yeah.
I will say though, I live in a city that's like very populated. And for a very long time, it was hard to get a vaccine, at least nearby, because
really?
I had to go to like the mega site, the one in like by MetLife, the one they were hosting there.
Okay.
And I had to take an Uber, and this was way before Uber had offered to pay for your rides to go and come back. This was when they were only offering it and you were getting it at Walgreens, but Walgreens didn't have any appointments, or any pharmacy had appointments. So, I ended up going and getting my vaccine. But with that being said, I kind of don't, it's kind of hard because there's these incentives, but then again, it's like, I will say, if they rolled out a thing where it's kind of mandated for you to not have your mask and show proof that you're vaccinated, I think that there would be a lot more people who would be like, you know what, all right, fine, let me get the vaccine. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny what you said, because from at least the crowd of people I hang around with, I guess you could say, but I didn't really think this age group was the most skeptical. I feel like from my experience that this age group is the one pushing it more. But
Kaya said, I don't know what kind of friends you hang around, but
I don't know. It seems like a lot of my friends aren't skeptical about it. They're more like, I don't know if they're for it per se, but they had no gripes with getting it just overall. But I can kind of see, and this is the second point you mentioned, the incentive thing. I feel like they're getting to the point in these incentives that it's becoming suspicious. Like, yeah, a free donut, free drink, that's kind of a cool incentive. Now you're giving out money, scholarships, cars, things people don't normally give away unless they have like some underlying thing. Like nobody's going to give away number one, how many of us have $1 million? Number one, but two, how many of us?
you don't know me.
True, but if you did, would you willingly be able to give it away for something as simple as this?
Absolutely not. I definitely agree with you. They should have made it like $1,000, and then you can get more people, and then more people would be, excited for it. $1,000 is $1,000, and especially, with people not having jobs or whatever the case may be, that would have been a good incentive. But it's true what you said. It making it them making it such a big amount, it's definitely like a
Yeah.
hmm.
And I didn't think about that, but if you made it like 5 people in the entire state of Ohio are going to win the $1 million. Me personally, I would be like, the odds are not in my favor. Why even try? If it was $1,000, more people win less, the odds would be better. And I think more people would apply. I mean, I don't know how many people put their names into this Ohio lottery. It could be the entire state for all I know. But if it was less money to more people, I think the odds of, or the number of people entering the lottery would be higher.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like as what Kyle said earlier, I feel like the younger people are trying to push the vaccine, like wanting to. I don't really know people like around my age group that don't want the vaccine. I mean, obviously there's gonna be some people, but like I know more people that maybe are like more middle aged or older, and they don't really want the vaccine. But I don't know. I agree with what you guys said. I feel like the odds are more likely for people to get more people are more likely to get the vaccine if like they gave out $1,000 to like a bunch of more people, because then more people are like, oh, I have like a good chance at this. But I don't know. Even so, I'm trying to think, because there's a lot of people. I work at Starbucks, and so it's a very, I mean, now a lot of people come in without masks, and right. I'm not even doubting that there's so many people that come in with not vaccinated without a mask, and there's nothing you could do about it. But it's like, right. Hey, I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, it's really what it is at this point. I mean, if you're already vaccinated, there's not much more you can do to help this problem. You can't, the numbers won't go up if you get vaccinated twice, twice as in like fully vaccinated twice, not like 2 shots. And if you aren't vaccinated, you either don't plan on it or you're having trouble getting on it. So there's really not much, at least individually, that the 3 of us can do. But there is a thing that the United States government is planning to do with all these vaccines that might otherwise have gone to waste, Patrina.
All right. Cool. So the U.S. is sending 1 million vaccines to the Mexico border cities and resort spots. 1 million of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccines are being sent to Mexico from the U.S. Most of the shots are planning to service at resort areas and spots along the border. The batch of vaccines is part of the 25 million excess doses. On Thursday, the White House announced that the vaccines will be shipped to other countries around the world. Most of the vaccine distribution, I can't read. Distribution, I don't even know how to say it anymore, will be through COVAX, which is an international system wanting to help vaccinate people in the world's poorest countries. According to the Assistant Health Secretary, Hugo Lopez-Gatell, much of the 1 million vaccines will be sent to the Caribbean resort hotspots such as Cancun and Pacific Coast resorts like Los Cabos and cities along the U.S. border. Now, I think we sent vaccines to Mexico, right? I believe, or what country was it that we sent vaccines to?
I'm pretty certain at some point we sent vaccines over to India when they had when that whole when they had that whole crisis. I know that. Mexico, maybe we sent some before, but I think the biggest one news-wise was India a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said earlier about like having so many vaccines and like so many people like don't want to take the vaccine, and it's great that they're finding a way to spread more give out more vaccines to people who really want it and need it. Like other countries are really suffering still, and it's really sad. And they don't have like the like I don't know, the scientists, I guess, that we have, and it's
it's like the resources are not there. And we saw this in India too. Like, no, it wasn't India. This was in Africa. That they didn't even have the right amount of resources to properly account for all the confirmed cases and deaths. So the numbers they were putting out were skeptical, like people were skeptical, not skeptical of, but they took it with a grain of salt because they're like, okay, but these might not be accurate with the resources that they have. So the fact that we're sending 25 million leftover doses to countries around the world is very good, because I mean, that would be my first reaction between these two stories. Number one, less and less people are getting vaccinated, but we're still making them as a country, and all these other countries don't have them. What's the most logical solution? Send them elsewhere. No sense letting them go to waste, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. Because I feel like all of those vaccines, we could do so much for other people. So I think
Right.
this is a good thing.
Yeah.
I've been laughing, or like internally laughing, since Patrina started the story, just because I feel like, and not for anything negative or bad, but just because the way I see something is when someone does something nice, there's always another reason. There's always a catch. There's always something. There's always something. I don't. It's hard for me to think that, especially when it comes to big things like this. I think it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that they are just doing it at the pure and niceness of their heart. I was thinking, I was trying to see what their other reason could be. And Patrina, you mentioned that they are neighboring cities, I guess you would call them, or towns, such as Los Cabos and Cancun, right?
Yeah.
And these two areas, I know that it's very touristy. It's like the
Right.
beaches, the hotels, and my question is like, I wonder if they're doing it so, they can, really open back up. I mean, they've been open and they are open currently, but I just wonder, like, are they doing it so their economy, continues to grow and they can profit off the tourism, or if it's they just doing it so like Americans such as
Right.
us can continue to travel over there. And I say this because this was like a story on social media. Basically, people saying like stop coming to these, like Puerto Rico, for example, was one of like those big areas where a lot of tourists were going, and it's like you're bringing, some of the claims were like you're bringing COVID and you're making our people sick, and you're just like being tourists. So then now you come get others sick, and then you get up and you leave. So I know that was a huge one. So I was just thinking, like, I wonder if I'm gonna go ahead and say it was for like everyone. It just works out better for everyone because, well, more tourists can go safely,
Right.
and now the people who are working at these areas can feel safe because they are vaccinated, so they are less likely to get COVID. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it is, you always have to be careful with anything like any like people in power do. You always have to, look at their intentions with a fine tooth comb, because, like, I think now more than ever, where there's starting to be a huge like distrust in politicians, like there always has been. Like, I don't know anybody who's like, I 100% trust every word this person says. But I think we're definitely seeing that a lot more nowadays. So like, even things that seem out of the purest of hearts, from, I guess, experience, you can call it, we know that like this world isn't like that anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was something else I wanted to add just really quickly. So, because I already see someone saying this, so I might as well. And first of all, let me just say I'm Mexican American, so believe me when I tell you that I know what I'm talking about. But so you see how you said if they're gonna be sent to like the border cities and stuff like that, I guarantee you that someone is going to say that is another way that this administration is encouraging migrants to enter the United States illegally or be around that area. And because it's like, I know you all hear the news, and there's been like things said that this administration is encouraging migrants and all these kids being, dropped off because they're not going to be sent back home and all these other things. And I just feel like someone out there is going to be like, oh, so now they're giving vaccines to those cities that's just another reason why people are going to want to get there, just so then they can get vaccinated and then enter the United States. Not that it's easy or legal to do that, but I'm pretty sure someone out there is going to say that.
I can see like the thought process behind that, but I don't know.
No, there's some people out there that will do it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah,
you know?
no.
Yeah, but like you never know, honestly. But yeah, Crystal makes a good point.
Yeah. But that is, well, first off, those are all our opinions and in no way reflect the station itself. But there's some other, what do you want to call it? Bittersweet news, maybe, regarding COVID? A side effect, as the article calls it, in which many American kids are heading over to summer school more than ever now, either through mandatory or optional means. So, schools across the nation are expanding their summer school programs as more students than ever are opting to take the summer classes. This comes in the wake of the outbreak that caused major disruptions for the for education everywhere. And as college students, I think we can all attest to that. But in 2000, okay, so for perspective, in 2019, it was estimated that around 3.3 million students attended summer school either through mandatory or optional means. And the Department of Education says that number of students this year will far exceed that because of COVID. And just for perspective, Montgomery, Alabama enrolled over 12,000 of the 28,000 students they have in the district, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania enrolled 14,700 students. So these are large increases in the numbers, especially in these areas that usually, or specifically these areas that, have summer schools. And Taylor Dennington, a high school freshman from Las Vegas, said, quote, "This year was such an unmotivating school year. It got to the point where I wasn't doing any work. I was just going to class. I learned better in school than online. Being in a classroom where a teacher is present is so much better than waiting hours for an email back from your teacher." End quote. And if I could find a more relatable story, I would. But yeah, I mean, it's just written out there, everything that it needs to be said, that especially from Taylor, who's said just like, yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Because that's exactly how I felt. Those are words that I could never say myself, but that's exactly how I feel. I'm surprised I made it through this semester specifically, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this semester was a pretty rough one. I don't know. I guess it was more than just me, but a lot of people, I don't know. The online, I think just the online's getting to everybody. It's been, I mean, at least for Montclair State, it's been 3 semesters now.
Yes.
With online, and that's most of my college career. I've only been on like campus one full semester, and that was it. Fall
Right.
2019, and that was it. But I think the summer schools, I think that a lot of parents are making their more like giving their children this opportunity to go to these summer schools, because I feel like as a parent, to see like your like a kid so young have to go through like a Zoom class, it's very hard. Like that's like elementary school kids, maybe like middle school kids, like they need to socialize and like to enable to like grow and kind of like, I don't know, like figure out themselves and whatever they got to do. It's like,
yeah, and I can say from experience, there's no socialization going on in a Zoom class.
Oh no, yeah, it's just your camera off, mic off, and you just
exactly
they could just go roam wherever. Like you don't know what the kids are doing, whatever. But I think that now that I don't know if these summer schools they're online.
I don't believe so. If some of it's in person, like depending on location, some is fully in person, and I guess others might be hybrid at most. But I can't imagine saying, "Oh, we're going to send you to summer school so you can kind of catch up on what you missed out," and then putting them right back in a Zoom call. That would just be the most counterproductive thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like that, but I really hope it's not, because it would be nice. I feel like like a main reason why these kids would be sent to summer school is because their parents may want them to be in school and be present,
Right.
make friends, do everything like hands-on and stuff, because I know it's easier for me to learn hands-on,
Yeah.
and over Zoom, how are you supposed to do that? It's so
Exactly.
sad. I feel so bad for kids these days having to go through this and like not experience like their early age.
Yeah. I've spent 3 semesters with roughly the same people in my classes, give or take. I don't think I'd be able to pick them out in a lineup because I don't think I've ever seen their faces for a total of an hour over the last 3 semesters.
Yeah, I know. I don't know like anyone.
Yeah.
I think that, and I know a whole bunch of whoever is listening and all college students are gonna hate me for this next comment, but it is what it is. First of all, so you guys said a couple of things that I wanted to point out. The whole learning on Zoom. Okay, first of all, the one thing I will say is that learning on Zoom and having classes on Zoom, super hard. Like it's super, it's hard. It's frustrating, and not in terms of like it's hard the material itself, which it can be if you
Right.
are learning a new subject, but it's just not the same. It is not the same. However, I will say that when it comes to kids who are, K to through 12, absolutely. Like they are being the ones who are being affected the most because they need that component, that interacting, that discussions, that open discussion format.
Right.
Like they need that. So they are definitely at disadvantages, especially kids who are like Black and brown. But I'm going to say that for college students, not that it wasn't as bad because it was hard for me myself, but I just think college students did too much complaining. And what I mean by that is that we already learn on our own. Most of us, we always say, what is it? YouTube University, because sometimes we don't understand something and we go to YouTube to help us learn. And a lot of us most of us spend a huge chunk of our outside the classroom time to really grasp and learn and homework and all these other things you have to do in order to pass the class. But I just feel like people were just doing a bit too much complaining for me. And I say this because sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches. Like I am a huge believer that if it's unfortunate and it's inconvenient, I get it. Like it really can be. And everybody has different life situations. That's also a component that needs to be, brought into the conversation. I completely
Right.
understand. But to me, I just feel like, all right, like, because I know I have friends who literally, and you can be like, oh, why are you judging them? But I have friends who took semesters off because they just couldn't handle it. And I just think that was just so extreme to me. And life is always gonna put you in this predicament where you have to figure out solutions, like jump over the hurdle, like you have to keep on going. Like you just can't stop and I don't know what to do. Like, no, come on, like you have to figure it out. I feel like, yes, it's hard and yes, it's all of this. And for certain situations, we don't know how people's lives at home is.
Right.
But for the good majority of us, we're just being, I don't want to say lazy because I don't even think that's the word, but we're just being like, oh, like a small inconvenience happened to us. Like,
Yeah. Well, I will agree with you. College students speak complaining as like a second language. So I will admit that maybe me personally, but maybe overall that there might have been a tad bit of melodrama going on, but I still think like in your friends who took a semester off, I would like say that is a valid solution. Like you said, you don't know exactly what's going on in everybody's lives all the time, but I think of it like this, regardless of classes, if I wanted a full college experience, which I do, I'm not saying I don't, but like I would take a semester off just so I can come back and experience college. Because I've experienced, like Patrina, one full semester here at Montclair on campus, actually. These past 3 weeks that I've come up here for Morning Buzz is the most I've been on campus in a year.
Yeah.
So that would be my reason for taking a semester off. Like the classes, yeah, were difficult. I might have over complained a bit. I definitely did. But not everybody is the same. So like it's very hard. And that you can apply that same reasoning to like why does everybody keep their cameras off? They might have something going on, in the background of the house that they can't control. So To an extent, I do agree with you, but I think you also have to take it with, and once again, the saying, with a grain of salt, just because not everybody's the same.
For sure, for sure. And for example, for you and Patrina, like I get it. Like you've only had one semester. I don't even think it's like an introduction to what college is. So I definitely agree for you guys. It can be a bit harder. It definitely was a bit harder. But for juniors and seniors who I'm a senior, but I have an extra semester to do, for us, like we already know how it goes. Like we got, well, at least for me, let me speak for myself. I had that experience. I know what it's like. I got to mingle, I got to talk, I got to live on campus. So for me, it's like, all right, now like I gotta do what I gotta do. But you guys don't even, you don't even know half of it. And like Patrina said, it's 3 semesters, we're 3 semesters in. So I can only imagine everything that you've missed out on. One last thing I will add is that, funny enough, I know that it's hard to meet people through Zoom, but a lot of my classes, which I loved, was that they created like group meets. And in those group meets, people were super cool, and not all of them. And some of them, it was horrible. Like people would only go there to ask questions that the professor literally just answered. Some of them, which was it was very frustrating. So those group chats were not, good. But I have another one for one of my classes, which was like 13, 14, 15 people, which I maybe, because it was such a small class, it worked out better.
Yeah.
But we all talked, we all had like jokes, we would talk outside of the class, like if you need help, like how can you help? Like what are you working on? Like what are your solutions, etc., etc. So I think it's hard and sometimes it won't work out. But this semester, I will say, I think I made a couple of new friends from Montclair. So
yeah, I would say a little bit. We had Discords, all my art classes, and some are more active than others, but yeah, roughly the same thing for me, just different platform.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I use GroupMe as well, and I had one class that me and all my classmates, we all, like, now they still talk in the group chat after they renamed the group chat. Like we're all still friends, like after the class and stuff. But they still talk. It's so nice, we all get along very well, so it's really nice. But I am really, like, I know sophomore year of college, I've been told, is like maybe the prime year to like make your like true friends of like,
really?
I mean, it really depends. I know. It's really like they say that sophomore year is like the year you really find your friends. I mean, maybe it's not the same case for everybody, but hearing that, I'm like, great. That was like my entire semester online.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was even like spring of 2020 where it was somewhat in person. So you met these people first and then you just had to deal with them online. No, you haven't seen a single soul in person. But with that being said, we are going to take a short break and we will be back with more stories here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
Hey, you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, where music stays cool. Cooler than a dog on a skateboard. Okay, I take that back, but we're still pretty cool.
And welcome back to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, the Summer Morning Buzz Monday edition. I am your host, Kyle Pepitone, joined with my co-host, Patrina Geiger, and newscaster, Crystal Santos. How are you guys today?
It's nice. It's a good day. I believe today's going to be a good day, nice weather, maybe go for a swim or something.
I don't think it is gonna be. Let me not put that energy out there, but it's just it's too hot for me. I cannot. Yesterday I went out. I don't want to say I was dying because that's extreme, but I was really like, I am about to pass out. I don't know if it's because I'm on the chubbier side or I just don't like the heat, but oh Lord, I was like, it is hot.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. Any day where I can't wear this jacket, it's too hot for me.
Yeah, you see, no, yeah, too hot. Let's bring back that 60s, that 70s weather. That was nice.
That kind of
is
nice weather. Deal with. 90s is just ridiculous. It shouldn't be.
I'm staying inside.
Well, I mean, I looked the other day this weekend at like where was it? Like Phoenix, Arizona. It was like 106. I'm like, no, thank you.
That I can't do. That I
No.
can't do.
My heart goes out to them. I can't imagine that's enjoyable heat.
No,
Imagine
yeah.
going to the beach when it's like 100 degrees.
Oh
I
my
don't go to the
gosh.
beach now.
You would fry.
Leave me at home. Just leave me at home.
Yeah. But Patrina, you have a story for us, don't you?
Yeah, this is actually quite an interesting story. So, pilot walks away after crash landing plane at intersection in New Jersey town, cop says. A private plane crash landed in Robbinsville on Sunday evening and came back to rest at an intersection near an airport. The crash was near a residential neighborhood with homes and a park around the area. Police officers arrived at the 5 p.m. call and found the pilot walking around the area, mostly unharmed. The pilot was a 47-year-old man from East Windsor, and he only suffered from minor injuries and was taken to the hospital for a minor back pain. Police said that, quote, when he experienced some sort of mechanical failure while in flight, causing him to perform an emergency landing. The plane was a 1966 Piper with a black and purple camouflage, a U.S. Army symbol, and a shark's mouth nose. The damage of this plane consisted of a chewed-up propeller and a smashed left wing. Now, for those of you watching over Facebook Live, I'm gonna share the photo of the plane. I don't know. Do any of you guys live near what was it, Robbinsville?
I do not, but I saw the pictures and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, we're talking, he landed, like, first off, before I read the article, I'm like, he parked a plane on a intersection. I was thinking like a Boeing 747, like, a passenger plane. Like, how do you fit one of those in an intersection? And then I saw the picture. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes more sense. But even still, it's
it was literally,
luckily no one was hurt. So
yeah, thank God. It was literally, as you could see in the photo, it was like at the stoplight.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, but yeah, it's a pretty cool looking plane. I love the color purple, and I love the color. I mean, black's not really a color. Black's more of a shade, but I like the two together.
This has been your quick art lesson with Patrina.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like the plane itself looks really nice, and I assume it looks better when it's all in one piece. But like, I like this, the pilot himself, had his quick decision. Like, you can't plan for something like that. You can't plan, okay, if something's going to go wrong, I'm going to land in an intersection. He had to most likely think of this, snap quickly, which is not a phrase, but like super quickly without any planning. He had to make these decisions in like split seconds. And the fact that he did it with only minor injuries to himself and no major injuries to like anyone in the surrounding area, because this, like you said, was a residential area. So nearby. So like the potential for like property damage or something going horribly awry, like going worse than it turned out, were so high. And the fact that none of that happened is like not breathtaking, but like relieving almost.
No, yeah, it was a very lucky landing, honestly. But I found it very odd that the pilot was just walking around, minding his own business,
yeah,
as
that
if
part
nothing ever happened. His plane's just casually, sitting in an intersection at a red light. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad
he was probably
okay.
like, I guess he was like walking, like it's weird to read it like, they just found him walking around unharmed. Like, he was probably, I assume he's like a little bit dazed or confused, like trying to find help, like going to tell somebody, hey, my plane's in the intersection, I need some help, something like that.
Right.
And then like somebody probably called it in while he was going to help, and then on their way the police like ran into him, and now we have this full story.
Right. I'm sure he was definitely like taken aback, but
yeah, I probably would be too.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, but my first instinct would be to call somebody,
Yeah, true. I guess maybe like his phone was down, or maybe he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, if his fault, like if I were to, God forbid, get in a plane crash, but and like something like that were to happen, my first instinct would be to like not like, even if it weren't to call the police, like call my parents, call like somebody that I
Yeah.
know, like I don't know, I wouldn't be walking around thinking about what I should do with the plane.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess like in terms of like city standards, maybe like you can't have it sitting there.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I am really curious to know what his like first reaction would be. Like, okay, I'm relatively unharmed. Everything's good around me. Where should I go? Or like not where should I go, but like what should be my next step of next course of action. So I'm very interested to know what he was thinking like immediately afterwards, other than like, oh my goodness, that just happened. Like, because I wouldn't know how to react in a situation like this. I would probably sit there willing the plane wasn't like in any immediate danger to myself, but I would probably just like sit there for a few minutes, just glossing over everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone's different with like how they react and stuff, and I'm sure maybe that was just like a way for him to calm down and just take a minute. But I don't know.
Maybe it's just the way it's worded in the article that sounds weird. That they just
Right.
came a call because I don't know. Well, the article says found the pilot walking around the area mostly unharmed. It just sounds like he was going for a casual stroll, which probably wasn't the case. But semantics, words. It's not. We're not going to get into one of those lessons now. But what we will get into is a quick technology lesson, because your Amazon Echo will share your wireless network with neighbors unless you opt out. And keep that part in mind, because that's important. So according to NPR, Amazon Sidewalk is a new wireless plan from Amazon, which will combine a collection of Wi-Fi networks in a certain area to help connect devices that might be out of range. This means that you and your neighbor's bandwidth or Wi-Fi will be added to a pool of networks. Devices such as Amazon Alexa, Amazon Echoes, and Ring doorbells will be compatible with this service. So how it works is if you have, say, a Ring doorbell in front of your garage or front door or whatever, and it's just out of range from your Wi-Fi router, it will then begin transmitting data using your neighbor's Wi-Fi or bandwidth, which bandwidth is just basically stuff that is used to transfer information. So instead of it connecting to your house, it'll pretty much just connect to your neighbor's house, which we'll get into this in a second, but that's a whole privacy thing. And so according to Amazon, though, compatible devices will only use a fraction of the bandwidth that most people use watching a normal HD video, about 1/40th of that kind of bandwidth that it takes up. And each customer can only transfer 500 megabits of data per month, roughly the same amount as watching a 10-minute HD video. So not per se a lot in the grand scheme of things, in the like how much somebody would probably use in a day, but still very concerning for people. And despite Amazon's claims of 3 layers of encryption that'll keep Sidewalk users from viewing other users' information, many are still skeptical about the privacy aspect of this. Jen King, Privacy and Data Policy Fellow at the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence, says, quote, "I feel like the bigger motivation here is to create a private surveillance network. I suspect they're seeing this as a real opportunity for kind of bridging all these different Ring devices in particular." And, end quote. And like I said before, keep this in mind, it's not an opt-in thing. It's not like, oh, this sounds cool, let me put myself into it. It's, oh, I don't like the sound of it, let me pull myself out of it. Because anybody who owns like these compatible devices are automatically part of this. You have to go through the manual process of saying, hey, Amazon, I don't want this. And once you do that, you won't be added to the pool, and you can't take away from the pool of networks. So, Crystal, this kind of relates back to your thing before, like, oh, they're doing something good, but why are they really doing it?
Yeah. You see what I tell you, Kyle, there is always a catch. But yeah, I feel like I personally don't own one of them, but if I did, just throw it away. I'm kidding. It's extreme, but I don't like that. I don't like when they just opt you in. It's like, well, actually, you were the one who was supposed to opt out of it.
Yeah,
It's not
that's the
like,
part that's throwing a
okay.
lot of people for like, well, hold on, what's going on here?
Right. And the thing is that, I feel like, for example, if someone who is like Hispanic and only speaks Spanish and they, I'm sure they have these guidelines and these
Right.
updated policy whatnot in multiple languages, but still, like, realistically speaking, we are all busy individuals. Maybe not us per se as college students and in the summer, but some of us. But the majority of people, they have jobs, they have work. Like, you really think they're gonna take time to read that? And which they should, but that shouldn't be right. You shouldn't just
Right.
opt someone in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that's like Apple. Like if you open an app and they're automatically using your location, I feel like that's pretty similar to that. Like you should, like they're not gonna make you put in your location. They shouldn't make you like have
right.
your, what was it, the Wi-Fi connect to.
Yeah, bandwidth and stuff. It's
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just odd to me. I don't know. I mean, I have an Alexa Echo. Okay, I thought she was gonna go off.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a little odd. I mean, she's very handy to me. We're close, but I don't know. I just they are a little, like, I'm a little skeptical of her.
Oh
at
yeah,
times.
no, they're totally always listening no matter what.
Yeah.
That's an undeniable fact. But I think I'm very close to throwing out my Amazon Echo because I told it to play hard rock and heavy metal music the other day, and it put on 21 Pilots, and I'm like,
Oh my
okay, these
gosh.
are not matching up. So my trust is now wavering in the Echo.
Oh yeah. I mean, my trust was always wavering. I mean, how could she hear me calling her name like all the time? Like, there's no way she wouldn't be able to hear me call her name if she wasn't always listening. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's a good point to bring up.
and I have a Zoom call on the other computer to make sure sound's all going is so I can't say it. But let's not forget to mention Apple's SIRI
Oh,
because she will
yeah.
pick up anything that sounds remotely like her name.
That too. Yeah. They're always listening.
They
No.
are.
Because
Mine is useless. I say it, so for example, I leave my phone in my room and I can't find it. I'm like, hey, crickets,
Yeah.
crickets. She's not good. Maybe it's because I have an older version of my phone, and you already know. I don't want to get to that conversation, but there has been claims that phones are slowed down after a
Right.
certain company develops a new one, and it's like, okay, now you have to pay another couple of thousand, not like thousand,
At this
like,
point.
the new ones are like
Right,
that,
right.
1,000.
Yeah.
right,
but
like at this, I'm right.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is quite crazy, you know, because she's listening too. I mean, even, oh my God, I don't even get me started on when like you're talking to somebody and then you're scrolling on Instagram and then like an ad for what you're talking about pops up and you're like,
Yes.
oh my God. And it's weird. I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I'll just think about something and an ad pops up. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah, that's the more alarming one than just like,
Like-
hearing something.
Like that only happened to me once.
Right. I think it's probably a psychology thing. That like, oh, you're thinking about it and now you're seeing it more. I don't think like I wouldn't put it past it if it's actually something going on with like I think it's cookies. Like that's the actual computer term for
Yeah.
stuff that happens like that. I wouldn't be surprised it's that, but I think like if you're thinking of something and then you see something, I think that's mostly psychology based because there's, at least to my knowledge, there is no way they're able to read your thoughts and program the ads you see because of it.
I know, it's just weird because one day I'm thinking about like like a video game or something, and then I go on Instagram and the video game ad pops up and I'm like, why? It's just weird.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
that's not stuff you really want to come across and to keep a calm state of mind.
It could just be a coincidence, but then again, why? Because I don't know. Instagram just matches what you're
Right.
talking about, whatever. But
Once is a coincidence. Several times something's up.
Yeah,
for sure.
Katrina, it has happened to me multiple times. Like I can be thinking of something and it's like I get on my phone and oh,
There
there's
it
an ad
is.
there for it. But I will say that because I don't like Kyle said, I don't think there's an actual way for them to know like your thoughts, but I wouldn't put it
Yet.
past them. Yes, I wouldn't put it past them. However, I after watching, which I haven't finished watching, but I got like halfway through the Social Dilemma movie, or I think it's a movie documentary on Netflix, and which basically talks about like social media and how they track you and how they develop profiles for you, so to speak,
Right.
to kind of match your activity and what content you're into. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that they probably, since they monitor everything, they probably see like, okay, she's looking at this, she's looking at that, and she'll most likely think of this. So let's throw in an ad from there.
Yeah.
And then it so happens to be that you think of it because you are doing these other two things, and then it's like, okay, boom, an ad. And then you go on social media, you see that, you're like, that seems skeptical. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that's how I think they do it. Like they just track you, and based on your activity and what you like and whatnot, that's how they eventually drop that one that seems like a bit sketchy. Like, how did you know I was thinking about that?
Right. It's probably all algorithm based, and we
Mhm.
are treading dangerous waters talking about this while we're streaming live on Facebook.
Right.
But yeah, and even our general manager Annabella, she said something a few days ago. I forget what app it was. I think it might have been TikTok. I don't remember, but she said, she was scrolling through, or she was looking at something, or she was talking about something, and then the next day that exact thing was on like her feed, and she's like, "Nope, that's going away now." So yeah, they're not subtle about it. If they're trying to be, they're not. But it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Is that the right term? Where like algorithms, yeah, they're pretty much spying on you, but like I've come across a lot of like bands or stuff through social media just from, I like hard rock music. So I'm going to see ads based off of, or like of upcoming hard rock artists. And I've discovered some of my favorite bands there. The one I can think of right off the top of my head is Citizen Soldier. The first clip of a song I heard was from an Instagram ad. So cool, pros there. Everything else, not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. The way that eventually technology, it's just going to keep getting like evolving, and it's just going to keep, getting worse. Reading our thoughts potentially, for sure.
I'm pretty
It's
sure
going to get to that point,
yeah,
if it's not already there.
I don't know how like near future this is, but I think one of the big, I might be Elon Musk, it might be Gates, I don't remember who, but wasn't there news of somebody actually developing a chip that will go inside your brain for like music and stuff?
Oh,
No.
I like to steer away from those things, Kyle. Not steer towards them.
Yeah, no, I just thought I heard something about that. It could be wrong, but like I'm gonna end off with this. I wouldn't. That's probably near future. We're looking at it, something like that.
Great.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's wow.
Yeah.
Not
So,
concerning.
you know what? It's fine. It's not here yet. It's nothing to worry about. But that is the end of our show, of the Monday edition of the Summer Morning Buzz here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I am your host, Kyle Pepitone, joined with me, Patrina Geiger and Crystal Santos. We will see you all next week. Until then, have a great day and feel free to tune in to the Morning Buzz tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and a best of the week on Friday, where we will have new stories and new people. Stay cool, everybody.